Welcome to episode 1 of a new podcast for JPA Financial Planning. This is the JPA Train Your Wealth, and I'm delighted that we are kicking this episode off where it has to start, right at the beginning. We've got the main man to find out all the history of where the name, the company, and the support they give comes from. So welcome to episode 1 of JPA Train Your Wealth podcast. As I said, the main man, Chris Homer. Hello, mate.
Thanks for having me.
How are you doing?
Yeah, no, really well. Yeah.
You were looking forward to this with trepidation, I think, weren't you?
You've assured me you're going to keep me safe, keep me relaxed, and it's
false security, mate. That's what that is. That's what. But it was so good because we'd known each other a little bit prior to this.
Yeah.
And you suddenly went, right, I want to get the story out because it's not just the financial side. There's a very personal side to this as well, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And over the last 6 to 12 months, we've had a lot of people saying, what does the name stand for? What does it mean? Where did it come from? How did you create it? And then you get the response of, why don't you talk to people about it? And that's then where the conversation started with yourself. So you go, let's get that story. Let's talk about it. How was JPA born? Where's it come from? Because as we'll go into how it came up, me and my wife look at it now and go, how has this happened? How have we gone from where it started to where we sit now? That was an idea on the back of a fag packet. And now...
Other pieces of paper are available.
Yeah, but we're now business owners. And if we roll back to the start, we would have never have said that was the plan, the dream, the idea. But everything we said has seemed to happen. And it's that why. How have we got it? How have we done it? And I say we still scratch our heads now with it all.
I've kind of almost felt embarrassed that I hadn't clocked where the name came from. Let me, before we get to that part, is just make sure I understand this correctly from what you said there. So you and your wife, Gemma, are the founders and owners of this company, or is it just you?
So officially, it's just me.
Yeah.
Because Gem's got her own side of it where the JPA officially started. She's got her own business where she went out, created it first, and then I joined her later down the line.
Okay, right. Speak to us about that start then.
So Ariella's going to be 9 in August this year. And it was while Gem was pregnant with Ariella. I said to Gem, I want you to have the choice of not having to go back to work. And we looked at it all, and with childcare and all the costs there, it was, you're going back to work, Gem, to pay for childcare. Why don't you have the choice of, if you want to spend time with our newborn, why don't you have that flexibility to do it? I'm employed, I've got the salary, we can live off the income. And that's what I wanted to have, the choice. And before that, my main reason behind it was, I've got 2 stepchildren, and Gem had her first son when she was 18. Single parent, single mom, she had to go back to work. And what I didn't want to do, I never wanted it to be, you're not going back to work, you're stopping and looking after Ariella.
Yeah.
It's that I wanted that choice, that freedom for what she wanted. And she kind of said, well, what am I going to do? And I said, well, all your career, you've provided support to people in your role. Said, well, we're both in financial services. We've both worked with financial advisors. The biggest issue on financial advisors is back office. We don't like admin. So there's your niche, that what you're good at, how you can support. Why don't you provide admin support on whatever hours you want to work for other financial advisors? So after a few expletive words and telling me I'm mad and it was never going to take off and anything like that, JPA Admin was born.
Okay.
And that's what Gem did from day one. And it snowballed from there into started looking after a first financial advisor, second, third, fourth, and it just started to pick up quite quickly without really trying or doing anything. It was just through people we knew that wanted admin support and the services. And then the dreaded word of COVID hit.
Oh, right.
And that really changed Gem's business in a positive way, because everybody was going to work from home. Nobody had people in office.
Yeah.
People had the costs of furlough and things like that. So all of a sudden, the whole industry said, we don't want people in the office. We want virtual assistants.
Yeah.
So overnight, Jem went from 5 financial advisors to 15 financial advisors that she provided support for. And this was the first part where we went, oh my God, it's not a hobby, it's now a business. We've now got to employ staff. And that side of it. So Jem's business started growing where she got her first member of staff. More people came on, we needed more. And by the end of that year, she'd got 8 members of staff working for her.
Wow.
Through the COVID year.
Wow.
So that was then where we're like, right, okay, what's now the plan? What started as a bit of giving you the choice, giving you the freedom, we're now there going, how do we manage it? What procedures have we got in line? What HR needs to come in, employment contracts and all of that. And Jem would never wanted to have been a business owner when we started that idea out. It was purely for flexibility for her to be with Ariella.
Yeah, it was what started as being that sort of self-employed sole trader, doing what she was good at, with the hours that she wanted, but this thing's now got a life of its own.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So
it's not an uncommon story either, is it?
No, absolutely. You do hear it a lot where it's that an idea, but you think it's almost never going to take off, and then bang.
Tail of a tiger kind of thing.
Yeah, there it goes.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So does JP Admin still exist now?
Yes.
Right.
So they still provide my back office support.
Yeah.
Because that's then what gave me the flexibility to be a financial advisor.
Yeah.
Because the biggest things that hold people back on launching a business is I can't go and see clients. I can't build my client base because I'm too busy doing the admin.
Yeah.
Well, I'd somehow managed to create this option of where I can get all my admin done.
At mates rates.
At mates rates, exactly, which gave me the freedom to just go and see clients.
Wow.
So that was where it was the no-brainer idea of doing it. It was the bit that kicked me to do it that's, I think, another interesting part of the journey.
Is that pre-understanding the name or...?
So, yeah, I mean, so I mentioned I got 2 stepchildren, so Josh, Poppy, Ariella.
Yeah.
So when Jem had this business idea, the admin side of it, we just sat down and we said, right, what's it going to be called? And Jem just put Josh, Poppy, Ariella's name together and just went, well, JPA. And it kind of just fell off the tongue and and just worked. Yeah. And Ariella jokes to us now and goes, well, why am I last? Well, you think AJP doesn't really give it the same ring to it. So it's just interesting how Josh is the oldest, then Poppy, then Ariella, and those initials together.
Ready rubbed excuse as well. You can't get in trouble for that.
Yeah. So, there was no real, I wouldn't say thought process. It was just, we sat down there having
But it's nice.
drink. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's what's made me thinking like legacy.
Yes.
Purpose and something where it can carry on. It's got a meaning behind it. There's a succession plan there to think, well, if one of them ever want to come in the industry and want to carry on with it, it's ready made.
Yeah.
And I think the other part of it where I see now is a lot of businesses, you put it as your name. Mm-hmm. Well, what's the succession plan on the business? If it's your name, nobody's going to want to carry on that name because it's not their name.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I look. This wasn't something, especially where we are now, that I see as a short-term business. This is a longer-term business with succession plans as to go, who's going to come and carry on when me and Jem decide time's right for us to take a back seat. The name can be there, the brand's still there, the reputation's still there. It's just new blood coming in to carry it on.
Agreed. And I mean, it scans well, the JPA, as you say, but then JPA admin or JPA financial planning means you've got the descriptive element as well. So it makes sense. Okay. So that's the wonderful personal element of the name, which, and I think it, especially for you with the financial planning, is that you're helping families and individuals. So the family connection there is really nice.
Absolutely.
But you touched on an interesting story of why the financial planning bit came along. So you were employed at this stage?
Yes.
For somebody else?
Yeah.
What changed?
So the deal always was, I stay employed, I stay safe, as everybody says with it. And Jem had the freedom. We didn't have any financial pressure on what that business generated because we could live on my salary. Ariella came along, 2 years. The bond I had with Ariella wasn't there. I was out, I was working, I was travelling everywhere, doing my job.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit again, and all of a sudden I'm back at home. My daughter can see her dad.
Yeah.
I'm there when she wakes up, I'm there when she goes to bed. And as things started to open up and people were going back to the office or that face-to-face element was coming back in, I didn't want to go back. I thought, I'm now torn. I've now had that bond with my daughter. Now I feel I'm choosing, do I want to see my daughter? Do I want to go to work?
Yeah.
And I didn't like that feeling. She was going to nursery through COVID, so I was taking her to nursery. Okay. So I was almost feeling like what a dad should or could be doing. Mm. So I just said to Jem, I said, I'm not going back. And she was a bit like, what do you mean? I said, well, I've worked with financial advisors. I've helped financial advisors set up their business. I've helped them deal with all the client situation. The only thing I haven't done is sat in front of a client and actually gone through the paperwork. I said, so if I just manage myself as I would manage every other financial advisor, I said, why can't I give it a go? And she went, all right then, go on then.
Really?
And I was like, oh.
Yeah. Right. I was all ready for a fight.
Yeah, it was almost too easy. Yeah. And then I thought, oh, okay. And she went, yeah, go and do it.
Wow.
And then it was that pause of like, oh my God, she's now agreed. I was almost like, I'm coming up with this great idea. You're going to say no, and it's going to be your fault in the future as to why I never did it.
Did you hear that, Dave?
Whereas now I'm like, right, okay, I've got the green light. I've got no excuse now. And when we looked at it, and it was that risk and reward, and we was like, so if it doesn't go to plan, if it doesn't work out, what's the worst that can happen? And it coincided with Jem's business growing at an alarming rate during that year. Yeah. So all of a sudden, Jem's business didn't need to worry about the financials, didn't need to worry about what it was bringing in. Now that became our safety net. Yeah, because it was like, well, actually, if this carries on going, and at the moment we don't see why it wouldn't, because we're getting more inquiries, more people wanting the support, we can now live off what the business is producing to give me the financial freedom to go and build something else.
Yeah.
So that was it. And at that point, I spoke to my employer, told him what my plan was, handed in my notice. And we then said, well, what do we do with the name? And that's when we said, well, let's keep it together, because the future plan at that point was then to say, well, we are going to be one big team. Mm. So yes, while they provide admin support for other businesses, the plan to grow the financial planning side of it, we should all come together and be under one roof at some point in the future.
Yeah.
And it was then the succession of thinking, well, the advisors that Jem was looking after, she was getting to know the clients because she was talking to them. Clients knew her. Well, what were the financial advisors going to do when they decided that they didn't want to advise anymore? Well, they wanted to go into retirement. There was a succession plan idea of going, well, those advisors could then, the clients have still got the same back office support, but the only difference being is that rather than Mr. Smith sitting in front of them, there was a new advisor, but the client was comfortable in all the back office and who they were seeing.
Because there was a continued voice there still.
Yeah. So we kind of had that option as well going. So we said, well, we need the businesses to be aligned. So JPA Financial Planning seemed the right match for JPA admin, but also for the business plan of the succession of going, well, Mr. Smith is retiring. JPA Financial Planning is the new advisor, of which JPA admin have been providing you with support over the last however many years. Mm. So that was kind of the idea. And the first time we'd kind of got a bit strategic with going, well, what does the future look like? How do we kind of bulletproof it all for what we want to do?
Well, it's the entrepreneurial spirit, isn't it?
Yeah.
You kind of take what you're good at and make it a viable proposition.
Yeah.
And I love that. Now, the one thing that does jump out at me, though, is that I find inspiring. I just love that story. It's so cool. And I didn't know that, which is why this is new. And I'm like, that's really clever. That's a longer term goal, because that is the succession of the advisors retiring. So presumably you had to get off your backside and go and get new clients on board as well at this stage.
Yeah, and this is the bit where we scratch our head and go, how did it all happen? If I fast forward to today, everything I've just said was the plan is where we sit today.
Oh.
So JPA admin don't provide any support for any other financial advisor other than JPA Financial Planning, because it's all happened as we put out there what our plan was.
Wow.
And that's the scary thing as to how quickly it's going. So as I got off my backside, I went out, started looking for clients. I knew of a business where an individual was looking to retire. So I said, right, I'll come and work with you for 18 months. The plan is I'll help you with your succession. I'll get to know the clients on the 18 month. Then the clients then fully come in to my world, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you can go off and enjoy your retirement knowing that your clients have been looked after, handed over in the right way, as opposed to I'm retiring today, your new advisor's here tomorrow.
Yeah, they don't like that, do they? Because there's a very personal connection, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Both directions.
Yeah. So that was kind of that plan of where I thought, right, well, I can kickstart the journey. I found one individual and then we can build it and go that way. By the time I'd got to the 18-month agreement point within that business, I had two others that did exactly the same.
Wow.
So with 18 months, I've got 3 people where we'd kind of put out into the world of going, well, we're the succession plan. And those 2 individuals worked with Jem under JPA admin.
Got you.
So it was like, wow, this has gone crazy in 18 months. 6 months later, I'm recruiting my first advisor and going, I can't look after all these clients. I now need to bring an advisor in. Then 6 months later, we're approached by another business. Can we back in? So all of a sudden, within 2.5 years, we've had 4 businesses back in. There's 3 of us advising with a 4th on the horizon.
Wow.
And it was just incredible to think, again, the same with what happened with the admin side of the business. We didn't really market, we didn't really promote, we didn't really push it out there. Yes, we had an idea behind closed doors, but it just happened. And then we found out in the same situation again with the financial planning side of it. We knew what we wanted to do, but we hadn't really planned it and gone, right, let's do this, let's do that. And we're sitting here 2 years in thinking, right, we've now got this problem over this side, which is a good problem to have. And that was then the start of the capacity on the admin. And that was when probably it became difficult, because Jem's always wanted to help people, struggles to say no to people. But we're now at a point of going, we can't keep saying yes over here because we've got a need on this side of the business where I'm going, I need more support, I need more back office, etc. So that was the start of then the succession of going, how do we slowly move admin into financial planning to become that one big team that we said at the outset was always the aim to get to.
Wow. I mean, I was making sure I was following all the points there, because it was sort of like a web at the beginning that has now become a very simple model at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I mean, we first met 2 years ago, I reckon, or certainly in 2024 compared to being in 26 now.
Yeah.
And that explains why it was never that impression that I got back then when we first met, because you must have been, I mean, it would have been a little while after the pandemic, obviously, but you were still sort of on that trail of trying to get new clients in to some extent. Hence, you were at networking, which I don't think you do as much.
No, but not my advisors do it more with it now. But yeah, I'm more trying to get the business plan of things going with it. But yeah, when we caught up was almost slap bang in the middle of that growth.
Yeah.
And it was that catch-22 of going, I want to promote, I want to gain new clients, but naturally there's more people backing in, there's more advisors wanting succession plans. Yeah. So it was kind of like, well, which route do I go? Because if I went both routes, I felt it was going to fall down.
Good point.
So that was the dilemma I was in at that point. And it was almost like, well, let's get this bedded in first. Let's see what having advisors in the business, because it's always been me and Jem. Now all of a sudden there's other people, other personalities, other voices, other people that have run a business on their own before and are now within a business But did they ever change the mindsets to be, I'm now not a business owner, I'm within a business? And that's always difficult to have when it's your baby, it's your dream, you've got your vision. How do you bed other people's thoughts in?
But one thing that strikes me from listening to that backstory is that by your nature, you go in with your eyes wide open, because I've heard pivots and big ideas, not just I do this job, but it was like, okay, let's widen that scope of where that sits. Plus we've now pivoted. Actually, that's happened sooner than we thought. So there's luck involved with businesses as well, but you've got to be prepared to see it, put yourself into the positions where it could happen, and be versatile enough to sort of make those changes. Well, you've proven that you were naturally open to that. I say as a businessman myself, is that I respect what I'm hearing there. So when you've got these challenges of other people doing it their way, I kind of envisage that you're like, actually, this is a good chance to hear alternative views, alternative ways of doing things. Has that been the case? Is it still
absolutely.
The case?
Oh, yeah. I'm a big believer, like, that we're a team.
Yeah.
I never want people to think that I'm the director, I'm the owner of the business, it's my way or the highway, because my way isn't always going to be right.
Especially when you're talking clients vary, clients' requirements vary, expectations, you've got to be open. I guess, and I probably come from this mold, is that you will have your sets of principles that you have founded this business on. That stays firm. Yeah. But the way that they achieving can be varied.
Yes.
Would you?
Absolutely, yeah. My approach has always been, we sit in front of any client. Previously there was a lot of people saying that I looked after the financial services. If people haven't got X amount to invest, I'm not going to sit in front of them. That was a big thing in my culture when we set it up, that financial advice is relevant for everybody.
Yeah, because I've always, not always, I had a period where, because it also has, a lot of companies have wealth manager. And I know we've got Train Your Wealth in the title of this series. Yeah. But wealth does not mean I'm loaded, I'm wealthy.
Absolutely.
And what is wealthy? I mean, we're wealthy because we've got loving families around us. That is one thing for me. Yeah. But it really is open for everybody. Don't get blinded by that word wealth. This is for absolutely everybody. Like, am I doing the right thing with my investments, with my future, with my here and now? Yeah. Yours is a much more holistic view. Definitely, yeah.
And that was what I purposely didn't put wealth in the business name, because I hated that word. It was when I'd talked to clients with other business before I went out on my own, you saw that as a barrier. It was like, well, I'm not wealthy. Yeah. Wealth management means I've got to have millions in the bank.
Or loads of properties or whatever, different things, Yeah.
So I didn't want it in there. And the reason I put planning in there is because we plan for everything. Yeah. If you think like the weekly shop, most people don't go to the supermarket and just think, I'm going to wing it. I'm just going to go down there, put loads of things in.
That's why the wife doesn't take me shopping, because I do. And it invariably ends with lots of junk in it. But you're absolutely right. The proper people.
Going on holiday. Do you know, what time have I got to be at the airport? What time does my flight leave? So everything naturally in life, we plan what we want to do. Yeah. And that's what my ethos with the financial services is: plan your future, plan your life. Yeah. And it's all right saying, let's plan for retirement, but retirement's a long way away. So what's the plan in the short term? What's the plan medium term? And then what's the long term goal?
I've heard people include, all right, my kids are going to go to university at some point. That's going to be blooming expensive. Let's plan for that. You have targets with houses. Presumably, not just in terms of a full-blown retirement, but building up to a company sale or something like that, which, of course, you've had experience of.
Yeah, doing all that, absolutely. Yeah. And I say to clients all the time, if we haven't got a goal, what's the point? Yeah. And that's the biggest thing that I try and say to clients when I first meet them, when we're looking at their reviews now. If a client says to me, I want to invest whatever money it is, my first question is why? Because if we don't understand that, there's no purpose behind it. Yeah. And I know the first thing that's going to happen, whether it's 6 months, 12 months, 6 years down the line, you'll look at your bank statement and you'll ask yourself, why am I putting that amount of money away? And your first...
I could have enjoyed it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the bit, there has to be that purpose, otherwise the financial plan won't work. It will break.
Yeah.
So that's why then that was in there. So we can start saying to clients and talking and going, this is about planning. This isn't necessarily about you having wealth now, but it might help you or plan for you to be wealthy, whatever that looks like to you as an individual in the future.
Yeah.
But if you haven't got that plan, it can't happen. And sometimes the best plan is do nothing now. Let's revisit in 12 months, 2 years, 3 years down the line, because it's about being secure now.
Yeah.
And a lot of clients come to us and they're worried about retirement. But it's, okay, well, why aren't you worried now? So you want to focus on 20, 30, 40 years down the line, but actually what's going to make life more comfortable now?
Yeah.
And
when you're most active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it's, well, just open a savings account and just save a little bit there. You've still got the flexibility to put into an investment further down the line. But why are we almost going, let's save for 40 years later, when actually we might not have gotten the property ladder. We might not feel fully secure financially in a day-to-day basis. So let's get that sorted first, and then we can look at the other options. It's like your foundations on your house.
Yeah.
Not going to build a house without a solid foundation.
Agreed. And those things change year on year for us, don't they? So that's where the long-term relationship comes in.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question, and we may have already answered this, or it might be a wrong question. It was just one that I thought of. Let me put the question as I wrote it. What made you think that there was a better way of doing this? Now, I had that as a question, and I thought it was about how to offer that advice. Or is it more about that there was a different way to join the dots together?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was from my experience of when I was managing businesses. And we've talked about the limits.
Yep.
There was a lot of financial advisors that would cap on who they would sit in front of. So I wanted to remove that.
Okay.
I wanted to take that away and make sure that everybody has access to financial advice, whatever they've got, whatever the discussion is with it. The next bit was then specialist. So a lot of people would say, I'm a pension specialist or I'm an investment specialist. Now, while I get there's an element of that, from a business point of view, I wanted to build the business to have specialists within the business.
Yes.
So within JPA Financial Planning, we have got specialist advisors that are licensed in all areas. So we've got a long-term care specialist, we've got a defined benefit transfer specialist. So while it might not all be me that has got those licenses, within the business, we can look after all of the clients'
So we're buying
needs.
into a team.
Yeah. And that's the other bit I found outside of it, is that because people would say I'm a pension specialist, all they'd talk to their clients about was pensions. But I'm a big believer is if you only look at one element of a financial plan, how can you say that you're giving that client the right advice and it's not impacting something else?
Yeah.
So it's that word, and you've used it a lot, holistic. And that is really important to me with clients, that we look after everything holistically. I think from a client's point of view, and something where we've had to work with clients and break it down, is there's a lot of stigma within the financial services industry that you're almost, if I tell you everything, you're going to tell me to move everything. Or you're going to tell me to invest everything. So I talk to clients about, I need to know what cash you've got in the bank. Not because I want to tell you to invest it, but I need to make sure you're financially secure now, so that if we are doing pension advice and looking 30, 40 years down the line, locking that money away, I'm comfortable that I'm not impacting your life now.
Yeah, but it could become that own internal version of, what do they say, robbing Peter to pay Paul?
Absolutely,
which
yeah.
normally we associate with two different people, but you could be doing that to your current now and your future now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I'd not really thought. And you need to understand all angles to be able to advise. So I get that.
Yeah.
And I'd never thought of that at all.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. And yet, you do have the experts that know those subject matters within the organisation, but you're buying into the team. Look at the whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow. That makes so much sense.
Yeah. And you're looking after that client fully.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was a big, Again, ethos, culture of growing the business, going that we weren't there on day one, but part of that plan was like, how do we make sure that we can cover every client's needs?
Yeah.
Bringing a mortgage advisor in this year solely to look at mortgages. Because again, with the experience, if I'm not dealing with mortgages every day, do I really know what's going on with the rates? Can I really sit there in front of a client and go, I'm a mortgage expert? I know what a mortgage is. I know the process of it, but we need somebody that lives, breathes it, does it daily within the JPA family. So again, the client feels safe, secure and looked after, as opposed to going, I don't really know the mortgage details. Go and speak to somebody else about it. Let's focus on this. But again, the right advice might be is, well, rather than that cash going into an investment, why don't you repay your mortgage down?
Yeah.
Because looking at the rates going up, it could save you money on the long term, which means your mortgage is repaid quicker, which then you'll get more money back in your pocket, could retire early. So you can see there really quickly how just looking at something and telling the client, don't invest, repay the debt, could make a significant impact to their overall financial journey.
That it's just a no-brainer in my head, is to be able to look at the big picture, and equally, not just from a perspective of they might not understand it well enough to do it themselves. And I'm talking from experience now. There'll be some bits that I go, yeah, I think I understand those areas well enough, but I'm so busy, apathy kicks in.
Yeah.
And I'll just let that keep going.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make it the best thing that's happening right now. I mean, the most obvious one that immediately linked to me is like, yeah, actually, I'm better off getting that noose of a mortgage down and live mortgage. I mean, that's our biggest debt, for goodness, our biggest monthly outgoing in most cases, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what a difference. I sit in here getting excited at the idea of not having that
Absolutely,
on a monthly basis. But equally, it might not be, because mortgages in a lot of cases have historically been the cheapest form of debt.
Yeah.
So it might be, no, don't. In fact, let's free up a little bit more because we can do this. I don't know. So that holistic view makes sense, but without foregoing the experts in those individual fields.
Yeah. And link back to where you've just said, it's the plan.
Yeah.
And that's like, so that's kind of the golden nugget, I would say, if I was sat in front of you as a client.
Yeah, it's not for now. It could be for a year, 6 years time, whatever. Yeah.
You've just said the feeling of being mortgage free and the smile on your face that you felt. So me now as an advisor is going, what the plan is, how do I get you mortgage free?
Yeah.
And what happens and how we do it. Or
presumably tell me, lovely dream, Chris, but do you know what? We need to focus on this first.
It could, absolutely, yeah. But it's that nugget that's your why.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, whatever we do or whatever we then potentially plan for, we've got our why now. Mm-hmm. And that makes a massive difference, because then you're not going to worry where you're putting money in the bank account, overpaying on your mortgage, saving into an ISA. That almost becomes irrelevant, because the why is, this is the plan. At such and such day, I want to be mortgage free. What's the best way to do that?
Or you turn it on its head and go, actually, my goal was not actually to be mortgage free. My goal was to have more money to play with on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
Strictly speaking.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's picking through, because then you got to understand the why of the why.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what I'm suddenly hearing there.
Definitely.
You can see all these epiphanies happening for me, can't you?
It is, but that
then realise this mind's a mess, so that's fine.
That is there is what's happened, is what normally happens in a client meeting.
Yeah, I bet.
And the hardest part, or the starting part of the meeting, is to get the products away from a client. Because 9 times out of 10, I want a pension. I want an ISA. Well, no, you don't. So what colour pension do you want? What colour ISA do you want? That's just the name of it. And it's breaking people down as to go, that might be the product that facilitates it, but you don't want it. You want to be mortgage free. You want to have more money. And that is the starting point of the conversation. And that's the most important part, in my opinion, to start with, to understand the why and the why of the why and the why of the why of the why.
It does.
And that will snowball. And then all of a sudden, and it happens, is go, once you've had that conversation, the product selects itself.
Yes. I've had many situations in various things I've done over the years where you turn around and go, look, to be honest, the title of a product that I might bring to the table is irrelevant.
Yeah.
The outcome is the critical thing here. And I see that that's what you're doing. So presumably jpafinancialplanning.co.uk, and they can get in touch with you guys.
Yeah.
And don't feel the need to come in with any predetermined
Oh, absolutely. It's just a chat.
Absolutely. And the reason why I make that thing is that I can almost feel the weight come off my shoulders and go, okay, I'm not going to look daft. I don't need to have even not answers, because that's what we're coming for, but
Yeah.
I don't even need to kind of go, I know exactly what I want to achieve.
Absolutely.
Let's be honest, none of us are that different in terms of it. We want freedom, we want security.
Yeah.
Yes, we want longevity, but I want a bit of here and now as well, but I'll go through a bit of a pain for that or whatever. Get the conversation started.
Yeah.
You guys are the experts throughout the team, and we get happy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're like Santa.
Just without the long beard.
Well, exactly. I know we won't bring up that yours is still darker than mine, but that's fine.
That's why it stays shorter, because it got a little bit longer a few weeks ago, and I can see the grey coming through.
Mine doesn't even matter if it's short anymore, sadly. Even the hairs, I'm going to get rid of that. It's gone. Loving the story about the business, and over these episodes we're going to touch on a whole host of topics. We're going to meet some of the advisors that are part of the team, operational stuff, all of that sort of thing, and hopefully it's going to really open up this world of financial planning. I was going to use the phrase destigmatize it, which is probably a bit unfair, but
I think there is an element of that as well.
And the biggest one that I now realise from this is not just that, is don't pigeonhole.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot more that we're going to touch on. Now, we will constantly be making key claims. Relax, Charlie. We're going to make these claims that this, we will not be making categoric financial advice during these by any stretch of the imagination, but it's to sort of demonstrate that there's conversations to be had around them. I think that
absolutely
sums up where we're going to be going with this.
Yeah, definitely. And if I go back to the very beginning, that first bullet point is making people feel they have access to financial advice and will talk about
exactly
it. And that's just getting people talking and interested and thinking about it is the main thing.
And, it's the opportunity to see that this stuffy image in our head that we might have of financial planners, as we have now seen, is not the case at all. I am going to bring it up. We've got Swindon Wildcats jerseys hanging in the background. You're recently a fellow sponsor, because we're a sponsor as well. You're sponsoring the helmets, which looks really, really good. And you're now addict of the game.
Absolutely.
As a family, which is lovely, isn't it? The three of you.
Yeah, and that's, again, the great link there. A family business, enjoying the family sport and the family feel that you get when you go and watch the Wildcats play.
It is just amazing.
It just brings it all together and just feels like home.
Yeah, exactly that. That said, this one here, Rennie Marr, for anybody who obviously might not necessarily follow the hockey, this is our netty, our keeper, and you donned some of his stuff and you went in goal, not in the game, funnily enough. we won the league. That wouldn't have been with you. No offence.
No, don't it.
But they were shooting pucks at you.
Yeah.
We've got some examples. These things are solid, and you were in the goal having them fired at you.
Yeah.
Are you mad?
Well, it was a joke to start with, I think, and then the joke turned into a plan, and Charlie was like, "Well, you got to do it now." It's like, right, okay. So, I don't know. It's one of those that came out, and you thought, right, it'll never happen. Spoke to Aaron at the Wildcats, and he seemed keen for it. And next thing I know, I'm in the changing rooms. I'm getting kitted up. There's a great video out there, and Ryan Wells is there shaking his head as I'm getting kitted up. So even he's probably thinking, what are you doing?
Yeah, because they're not mad enough to go in goal.
Well, no, exactly.
Bearing that in mind.
Yeah. And from watching Rennie play, he makes it look so easy. The way he gets down, gets up, moves around.
Yeah.
I couldn't move. 15 minutes, and it is on camera, it is on microphone. I am literally going, get this kit off me, get me off this ice. My knees are in bits.
My knees hurt watching them. It's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So after that...
You just walked off ice, apparently, didn't you?
Yeah.
Just went, I'm done.
Yeah.
And everyone's like...
They were like, what's going on? And carried on, and that was it. I was just gone with it. While I was standing, it was okay, because I could just move. You were lucky you could flick one round. As soon as they started run towards me and making me move, that was it. I'd got no chance, because I didn't know how to move on the ice and be with it. But I can stand there and hit a puck, and hopefully I'll get something on it.
Wow. I mean, and like I said, these things are solid and they're small. But I mean, it's a small goal, but they only need a little tiny piece.
Yeah, with how quick that.
Yeah, and that's why you can't just stay stood up.
Yeah.
You need to be stood up at times, down at other times, and you're trying to, block it all. They are mad. They are insane.
Oh, and the stories that, all the players have told me about where they've gone through and throwing yourself in front of that's flying towards you and things there.
Yeah.
You just think, why? Why'd you do it?
Well, you take Ed Bradley, one of our defence guys, is that he took during a game, I think it was to his knee from memory, just missed the padding and just went through the little gap, and he missed 2 weekends.
Wow.
So that's 4 games. And so absolutely, this will take it. So we say that the netties talk to the posts. That's when everyone's at the other end, they're just having a little conversation to the post. They're that mad.
Yeah.
So that's your next goal. You've got to be making friends with the post. But a great opportunity and a great team to be involved. And also, of course, that's another big community thing. And we're going to be touching on this a lot, is that you're very much into the whole community side of things.
Yeah, and giving back, definitely.
Which we got some wonderful stories. I think the next episode, as we sit here today, this is the plan anyway, is going to be with Charlie, and we're going to talk about how there's a speciality of someone with some expertise, is that is someone that's come from professional sport herself, realise that people are kind of paid this money and no idea what to do with it, and going, we've got to stop that.
Yeah.
And I love that you're opening your eyes and go, right, let me sum it up. Your phrase in your head must be, who else can I help?
Absolutely. Yeah,
which
definitely.
Is amazing.
Yeah. And as you say, you're going to hear Charlie's story from it. When I heard that story, my mind was blown with it. And again, from an outside, looking at this luxury professional sports world, you think they've got it all.
It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah. And you start to realise that it's not everything that you see from the outside. That isn't what they feel on the inside.
No, I'm really looking forward to that
absolutely.
story. And that's why I just still made it here, is it kind of emphasises your mindset for me. I think it really does. There's very much about trying to help people.
Yeah.
And JPA admin was there to help people.
Yeah.
Et cetera, et cetera. Chris, I could carry on talking forever with you, and we will do in Coventry over beers as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the hockey finals. And we'll get you back on various shows and what have you. But I love delving back into the history of you, the family, the company, the ethos and principles.
Yeah.
Wonderful to hear, and I look forward to hearing more from you in future episodes.
Brilliant. Thank you.
So thank you very much for joining us. Chris Homer here, the founder, in this first episode. And it should be, I always say should be because we never know, it could change. But if it's not the next one, it will be very soon, because she ain't getting out of it for long. But she should be on the next one, will be Charlie. But stay tuned. We'll have plenty of episodes to talk about everything to do with JPA Financial Planning, JPA Train Your Wealth. See you next time.